welcome to the month of Spooky 2017. This is Ron, and I'm your host for this annual event. We are in week 2, and I trust that you're pretty spooked out so far. This is only the start of things, and you won't believe what's on tap. You can see the whole calendar of events by heading to ronsamazingstories.blog. Now, on to today's show. We have a lot of spooky stuff for you today. We will hear a story about a mom who reads a Halloween tale to her daughter, who's in a coma. We have another tale about a ghostly visitor that just can't logically be explained. Add to this an Inner Sanctum episode about a man who just can't seem to escape justice. Top it all off with this somewhat spooky 5-minute mystery.
Another 5-minute mystery.
This 5-minute mystery is being brought to you by the month of Spooky. Every year, the RAS is turned over to all things spooky, and you need to tell the world. So why not pause the show right now and open your door and yell to your neighborhood to listen? Do it now. We'll wait.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Vincent Carraway, your mystery storyteller, inviting you back again for another tale of mystery and murder.
Oh, turn that thing off. Give me the shutter, Stove. I don't see why I listen.
It isn't every woman who can flip a dial and hear her husband's voice.
But I don't know where Vince got the idea for those horrid stories. It's so depressing, it's making a nervous wreck out of me.
Darling, you are in a state. What is it?
I could have sworn I heard footsteps in the hallway.
Oh, no, Joanna, this is preposterous. You mustn't let this get you.
The lights! They've gone out!
There is someone. Someone right outside this door. Joanna! Joanna! Good heavens, she's dead!
Now, Miss Warren, if you'll just calm down and tell me exactly what you can.
There's nothing left to tell except what you already know. Hilda called you on the maid's phone, and then I called Mr. Carraway at the radio station from in here.
Weren't you on the air, Mr. Carraway, at the time of the murder?
Yes, I was just about finishing my show. I heard the phone ring to the studio and caught it just in time. I got here as quickly as I could. It's only a short distance.
Poor Mrs. Carraway. Thank heaven she died without ever knowing.
Knowing what?
That her best friend was trying to get her husband, that's what.
Hilda!
You needn't Hilda me in that tone of voice, Miss Warren.
Phyllis, you didn't.
Kill Joanna, are you crazy? Don't be such a conceited fool, Vincent. No man is worth murder. Not even you.
So you were in love with Mr. Carraway, Mrs. Warren.
So what? I might have wished her dead, but I didn't kill her.
Mr. Carraway, you said you heard the phone from the studio and just got to the phone in time. Wasn't there anyone else to answer it?
At this time of night, there is no one else at the station except myself and the engineer, and he, of course, is in the control booth on the next floor.
I thought the engineers worked right off the studio.
They usually do. However, I work for my own private studio just off my office. It's perfectly soundproof for broadcasting.
Very considerate of your employers, I must say.
Yes, it is. Well, of course, everyone isn't entitled to such privileges.
Nor does anyone have such a good opportunity for murder.
Murder? What are you talking about?
Just this, Mr. Carraway. I'm arresting you for the murder of your wife.
Why did the inspector accuse Vincent Carraway of the murder of his wife? In just a moment we'll hear, but first...
Hey, this is the month of Spooky, and this 5-minute mystery isn't scary. But here's the thing. They never got the memo back in 1940. So, this was the best they could do on short notice. At least they had a scary guy at the start, and I'll bet he is the killer. No. I'm just saying.
And now, back to our story.
I was broadcasting over the air a mile away when my wife was shot. Thousands who heard my show can testify to that.
Yes, thousands can testify they heard the voice of Vincent Carraway, but not the man. Because at the exact time you were lulling thousands to sleep by means of a record you'd made earlier, you raced to this house, stole in on your unsuspecting wife, shot her, and raced back to the studio in time to remove the record when it reached its end. Not even the engineer could see that it wasn't you before the microphone. You claimed to have heard the phone ring while you were still in the studio. But studios are entirely soundproof, Mr. Carraway. You couldn't possibly have heard that phone ringing in the next office.
You betcha. The scary guy is the killer, and justice is a dish best served cold. Or is that revenge? Never can remember. Oh well, either way, this is the month of spooky, and I'm proud to say you heard it right here on Ron's Amazing Stories. You betcha. I have to say that we are in for a treat. When I first heard about the story that I'm going to play for you, I thought there was no way I'm going to run this one. This is a children's story through and through, and my listeners are way too sophisticated for this one. But then I listened to it and thought, "Aw, how cute is this?" Now, the person who told me about the story also told me the story that goes with it. After hearing that, I knew that I just had to play it. The tale was written sometime in 1911 by Elizabeth Thompson Dillingham. It is read for us by Tara Dow. Now, let's go ahead and listen to this, and if you do have young children, turn up the volume because this is a good one. It's called The Halloween Story.
A Halloween Story by Elizabeth Thompson Dillingham. Once upon a time, a big orange pumpkin was growing just outside a stone wall, far off in a field, all alone. The farmer had gathered all his pumpkins and stored them carefully in his great barn, but no one knew of the big orange pumpkin growing just outside the wall, all alone. The big orange pumpkin was lonely. "I wish I belonged to someone," said he. "Mew, mew." "I do too," cried a little black pussy cat, stretching herself and jumping down from the stone wall where she had been sleeping. "It will soon be winter," said the big orange pumpkin. "Let's go find someone to belong to." "Yes, let's do," said the little black cat eagerly. "I want to belong to a little girl with a sweet face and shining eyes." "And I," said the big orange pumpkin, "want to belong to a jolly little boy who whistles and sings when he works. Let's hurry right away to find them." "Yes, let's do," said the little black cat. So off they started, the big orange pumpkin rolling and tumbling along and chuckling to himself as he went, and a little black cat pit-a-patting along on her soft little cushions, purring because she was happy. On and on they went, over the fields and through the woods. It began to grow cold, oh, so cold, and dark, too. The little black cat shivered as the wind whistled through the trees. "See here," said the big orange pumpkin, "you can't sleep outdoors tonight. What shall we do?" Just then they saw a man coming down the path with a bundle of wood on his back. "Ho, Mr. Woodcutter!" cried the pumpkin. "Have you a knife?" "That I have," said the merry woodsman. "What can I do you for, my fine fellow?" "Just cut off a piece of my shell where the stem is and scoop out some of my seeds, if you please," said the pumpkin. No sooner said than done. "There, my little black pussy cat," said the pumpkin. "When you wish to sleep tonight, you may curl inside and be as warm as a sunbeam." "But will you not come home with me?" asked the woodsman. "Have you a little girl with a sweet face and shining eyes?" asked the little black pussy cat. "Have you a jolly little boy who whistles and sings when he works?" asked the big orange pumpkin. No, said the woodsman, "but I have a pig and some hens." "Then we'll go on," said the pumpkin, "but thank you kindly." So on they went and on until the stars began to shine. Then the tired little pussycat curled in her hollow nest, put on the cover, and went to sleep. In the morning they went on again, but before long it began to rain. The pussycat's soft fur was soon very wet. "You poor little thing," said the big orange pumpkin. "Curl inside your house, and I will trundle you along." "But it's so dark inside, and I couldn't see where we were going," cried the pussycat, holding up a tiny, dripping paw. "Windows!" cried the pumpkin. "Of course! Windows! How stupid of me! Wait here under this fence, my little friend, until I come back." Then off he hurried across the road to a carpenter's shop. "Ho, Mr. Carpenter!" cried the pumpkin. "Have you a knife?" "That I have," said the jolly carpenter. "What can I do you for, my fine fellow?" "Just cut some windows for me, if you please." So the carpenter took a sharp knife and cut 4 windows. Just like a face, he made them, 2 for the eyes, 1 for a nose, and 1 for a mouth, and he laughed as he did it. When he finished the mouth, the pumpkin laughed too. "Ha, ha, ha!" cried he. "What a relief to have a mouth to laugh with! Ha, ha, ha!" And he laughed all the way back in the rain to where the little shivering pussycat was waiting. And she laughed too, and climbed inside her coach and put on the cover. So on through the rain they went, and on and on. Just as dark was drawing near, they came to a wee brown house by the side of the road. In the yard was a little boy picking up chips and putting them into a big basket. He whistled as he worked, and then he began to sing. "If wishes were horses, then beggars might ride. If turnips were watches, I'd wear one by my side." Then the door opened, and a little girl with a sweet face and shining eyes stood on the threshold. "What do you wish, John?" she called. "Oh," laughed the boy as he came in with the chips, "I wish I had a pumpkin for a jack-o'-lantern, for this is Halloween." "And I wish I had a pussycat to love," said the little girl. "This is the place for us," whispered the big orange pumpkin, and he rolled up to the door, bumpity-bump. "Look, John," cried the little girl, "here's your jack-o'-lantern. The fairies must have sent it. Isn't it a beauty?" "There's something inside," said John, snatching off the cover, and out jumped a tiny black pussycat straight into the little girl's arms. "Oh, oh!" they cried. And when Mother came home in the dark, a jolly jack-o'-lantern with a candle inside was shining out of the window at her, and close beside it sat a little black pussycat.
Aw, how cute was that? Gina White from Michigan sent this one in and said that her mother would read it to her for every Halloween. It was something that she looked forward to each year. When she became a mother, Gina continued the tradition. One day in October, her daughter became very sick and had to be taken to the hospital. She needed emergency surgery and almost died. The little girl was in a coma for 2 weeks, and each day Gina would come to the hospital and read her little girl the Halloween story. On the day before Halloween, Gina's daughter opened her eyes. Her first words were, "Mama, please read my story again." Everyone in the room was taken aback. It appears that the little girl had heard her mother read the tale every time. Amazing. I want to thank Gina for bringing us her story and sharing her story. All I can say about all of this is amazing. And now this. Our story today comes from one of my favorite series of old-time radio, Inner Sanctum. The anthology series featured stories of mystery, terror, and suspense. It began in the early 1940s, opening with the host introducing himself as your host, Raymond, in a mocking, sardonic voice. A spooky, melodramatic organ score played in the background while Raymond told morbid jokes and playful puns. Raymond's closing was always an elongated, pleasant dreams? Our story has all of the above and an extremely intelligent tale to go with it. It tells of a murder from a paranormal point of view. You'll understand that statement after you've heard it. It is called Death Pays the Frieght and is a perfect tale for the month of Spooky 2017. It first hit the airwaves on October 5th, 1952.
Good evening, friends of the creaking door. This is your host to welcome you once again into the Inner Sanctum. Come on in, and never mind looking back over your shoulder. Whatever it is that's behind you can't be half as bad as what's in front. As the man whose throat had just been made the scene of an experiment with a razor while he slept said, I'm going from bed to hers. All right. Settle down now. It's coming. And there's nothing you can do about it. Just keep a good hold on yourself. And your wife, if your life insurance paid out. Joe Harris, 21, wearing a cheap blue serge suit and a thin topcoat, cold and wet on a cold and rainy night, decides to make a change.
Kansas City's okay, but there's nothing there for me. I gotta get out. My wardrobe ain't built for a hard winter, so I figure it could be more comfortable on the coast, California. But I ain't paying for rail transportation this year, so I head for the KC freight yards. And I picked me out a nice long freight job that happens to have an empty car. And pull the sliding door over, leaving just a crack for air and finger hole for when we reach the land of oranges. The old boiler up front's got the steam up. And we're off. I relax. All I gotta do is let a couple of days slide by and... sunshine. Hey. What? I didn't notice nobody else was in the car.
Didn't you now, Pally?
No.
That's too bad.
He leaned back into the darkness of his corner so I couldn't see him very good. He was a young guy, maybe my age, maybe a couple of years older. My size, too. Same color hair and eyes. Almost close enough to be brothers, but there was something in his eyes that had never been in mine. I was scared.
You know something funny? You look like me.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that myself in a...
Why?
Well, lots of guys look a little like each other.
No.
I mean... Huh?
Nobody looks like me.
Well, okay, so I don't.
You're trying to. That means you must be one of...
One of what?
They have ways of changing their appearance. You're one of them. You can't fool me.
Look, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's no use. You can't fool me. I'll have to punish you.
Hey, watch out with that knife.
I'm going to cut the resemblance away and find out what you really look like.
You're crazy. Stop it.
Let go of my hand. I've got to cut you away.
No. I got your arm twisted. And the knife is pointing at your heart. Now drop it.
No, nobody's as strong as me.
Stop it. I warn you. Stop it.
No.
Then I gotta do this.
No.
I told you. I told you. I told you. Dead. Hey. No, he's dead. I gotta get out. The door. Slide it open. Put the odd bones.
Another one of these sliding doors. Why don't they snap them proper? Give me a hand, Charlie.
Okay. You locked it. Now I can't get out. I can't get out. So there I was, locked in with him, in the dark. He was dead, so I wasn't afraid of him. At first. I even gave him a going over. His eyes were open, but I flopped him over, and I went through his pockets. Just a couple of bucks and some small change, and his draft card. Funny, he was 4F, just like me. His name was Martin Pell. That's a laugh, too. Finding out who a guy is after you kill him. Kill him? Yeah. I was a murderer. I just realized it. They'll hang me for that. No, it was self-defense, but what chance have I got of proving that? Me with a record, too. But maybe I can lose that record. Maybe. Yeah. So I switched draft cards with him. And now he's Joe Harris. And I'm Martin Pell. Martin Pell of, that says on his card, of Wisey, Oklahoma. And the hours go by, and I'm there with him locked in a boxcar. And the wheels keep pounding underneath. And he's dead. I gotta get out. There's gotta be a way. The door. Shut. I gotta think. Think. Hey, wait. We're stopping. Now what? We're stopping. Yeah, he's covered up. Maybe they won't spot him. Anyways, I gotta get out. I'll yell and I'll pound on the door. Yeah, that's the way. That's the... Help! Help! Let me out! Let me out! Let me out! Somebody hear me! Somebody! Hey, they heard me.
What's going on? Catching a ride, bum? Get out of here.
Yeah, sure.
Don't you know it's against the law riding a freight?
Yeah, I know.
Or maybe it's a hump you remember.
No.
Now get out of here. Get fast.
Fast as I could, I got away from there. The yard bull took a quick look into the car, but he didn't spot the body under the sacking. And the train started up. And it began moving away. With Martin Pell lying under a pile of dirty sacking. With a knife in his heart. And a funny look in his eyes. Only I'm Martin Pell now. It was only a watering stop where the train stopped, so I walked across the prairie. Not knowing where I was going and not caring much. Well, I keep walking across the dark face of the land until I spot a light. A couple of lights. A small town, it looked like. A small town, somewheres. Where? Right on the edge of town, there's a lunch wagon, and it's open. And there's a light shining in it, and I'm hungry. So I go into the lunch wagon. Hi. How about something to eat, huh?
Sure thing, Martin. Sure thing.
What did you say?
I said, sure, you're going to have something to eat, Martin. What'll it be?
Martin? What town is this?
Why, you ought to know, Martin. This is Wisey. Wisey, Oklahoma.
Wisey? But that's the same place. It can't be.
Oh, that's no way to talk about your own hometown. Of course, you've been away quite a few years. You look good enough.
Wouldn't you say I've changed?
Oh, no more than's natural. Of course, you're only around 16 when you left. Kind of an advanced 16, though.
Yeah?
Ain't many kids that age would have stuck up the bank, knocked off the night watchman.
I killed him?
Oh, don't get modest, fella. Sure. Old man Henshaw. Hey, I was near forgetting. You said you're hungry.
Not anymore.
Oh, come on, have something to eat. Don't you believe in putting anything in your stomach before doing a job?
Doing a job? Me?
Why do you think I sent for him? Why should I promise you $1,000?
I don't remember.
Oh, for Pete's sake, Martin. How many men have you killed that you don't remember a job like this?
Never mind the act. Play it straight, huh?
Okay. Don't get nasty. It's too late to talk business anyway. Come on, I got a room fixed up for you and back. Get a good night's sleep. We'll talk in the morning. About an old man that's lived way past his time, And about how you, going to take care of that. Martin, I sent for you because I need money.
I ain't got any.
My uncle has. Old man Carew.
I'll get it from him.
When he dies, I will.
So?
So I want him to die.
Oh.
I got $1,000 in cash. That's yours.
For what?
For my uncle dying a little earlier than expected.
No dice.
No dice? Martin, you take care of old man Carew, or so help me, I'll turn you in on that bank job.
Go ahead. Turn me in. I can prove that I... And then I shut up quick. Bliss was watching me with those little pig eyes in his fat face. Sure, I could prove I wasn't Martin Pell. That I'd never been in Wisey, Oklahoma before in my life. Sure. But to do that, I'd have to admit I was Joe Harris. And when they found that corpse in the boxcar with my draft card on him, that'd be fine. A lot of attention the jury had paid to my plea of self-defense. No witnesses and me on the lam and me switching draft cards in panic. Sure, even the hangman had burst out laughing when he slipped the noose around my neck. I shut up quick, Bliss watching me close. And then I said, "Okay, Bliss, it's a deal. What's the layout?"
I'll pull in here. Trees will cover the car in case anybody happens to be out late on the highway. Can't be too careful. Ain't that so, Martin?
That's so.
It's only a short walk. Let's get going. Oh, here. You better take this.
What? Oh, a tire iron.
I picked it up in a junkyard. They never trace it to me.
It's for
old man Carew. They bother you?
I ain't used to them.
Anymore, huh? The house. Old man Carew never believed in buying curtains for the windows. There he is, rocking in his chair. Now watch the porch step. It's busted. I guess we knock. It's polite.
What's it now?
Uncle Carew. It's me.
What you want?
Just to come in. I brought a visitor. An old friend of yours.
Well. Sit where you like. Sit in my rocker. And nobody sits in it but me. Who's the man with you?
Don't you recognize him?
Looks like Pell boy.
That's who it is. Martin Pell.
Never was any good. Like you, Bliss. All right, you visited. Gone home now.
Kind of cold out. Give us a chance to warm up, huh?
I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do.
Just dozing off a bit. Go on, Martin.
What?
You ain't looking this way. Now's the time.
I ain't gonna. He's an old man.
Give me the iron.
What are you...
Give it to me.
All right, here.
Yeah. Uncle. Uncle. Yeah. Riddle me that, huh? Pockets. Yeah. Uncle was carrying quite a bit of dough on him. Martin. Here.
Huh?
Here, take the money. It's your payment.
No.
I'll put it in your pocket myself. That's very important. When they find you here, knocked out, tripping over that busted porch step, they'll know why you killed old man Carew.
What are you talking about?
Sure, and knowing your record, Martin, they'll never look for anybody else. Now, when they find you on the premises with the old man's dough in your pocket and your fingerprints on the tire iron...
No!
After
I was walking up a long flight of stairs with nothing at the top but more stairs and more stairs, and my head was hurting. And then I woke up. Lying outside of old man Carew's house with a blood-stained tire iron in my hand. I let go of it. I pulled myself to my feet. And then I heard cars. They were coming. And there I still was. I had to get away fast. I didn't know the country, but I was hunted. And the hunted animals got an instinct to hide, to run, and to hide from the killers. They didn't find me that day because I fooled them. I didn't try getting out of the county, getting away from the town. Oh, no. That's where they were watching for me. So I stayed put close to town, which fooled them. And also, I had a job to do.
Who is it? Martin.
Me.
What are you doing here?
I got paid for a killing I didn't do. So I figured maybe I better do a killing now for no pay at all.
Stay where you are.
No, we're alone here. I got this knife.
No.
Bliss, you got a pencil?
A pencil? Yeah, sure.
Then sit down and write a little note about how you killed old man Carew.
No.
I got the knife against your heart. Sit down and write.
All right.
Well, just write. I killed my uncle because I wanted his money. You got it?
Good. Got it.
Now sign your name pretty.
I signed it. Take that knife away.
Sure. After right. Yeah. Goodbye, Mr. Bliss. Now, I'd better put the knife in your hand like this. Too bad your nerves went back on you. You committed suicide, Mr. Bliss. That's what you did. And now they'll stop looking for me. I holed in and waited until they found Bliss. So the law was called off. There was nobody to look for. So I headed for the water and stop and the freights because it was cold. And I was heading for sunshine. There was a train getting ready to head for the coast, so I sneaked close to it. On the far side, there was a couple of bulls around chewing the rag, but they didn't see me. I spotted an open boxcar, and I climbed in. I got away from the door. The bulls were coming along checking. One of them sounded like the guy that had thrown me off the night before. This time I didn't care. I was hoping he'd lock the door on me. So I curled up in a corner and waited.
Yeah, Mike, that was quite a wreck they had up ahead. Quite a wreck. Held up the line for 24 hours. The freight here had already pulled out when word came in of the wreck up ahead, so they backed her right back here and let her stand. But she's on her way now. One of them sliding doors is open. Come here, will you?
Hey, wait, if this is the same train... It can't be. This car. If it's the same train... The second would be over there. Let me see. The second. Yeah, it's the second. And under it, I gotta see. Yeah, it's him. Martin Pell. And I'm locked in with him. Me and Martin. The killers. We're going to the sunshine together. And that's how the cops will find us. Together. Him dead. And me. And me.
Well, well. Alas for poor Joe, who couldn't keep out of boxcars. He was a nice boy, but he couldn't stay put. I guess they'll give him the Order of the Rolling Stone. Tombstone. And to leave you with a happy parting thought, whenever you hear a freight train whistling in the night, think of Joe and wonder, is he still in it with Martin rattling?
Well, friends, it's time once again to close that creaking door. Until next week at the same time, when we'll be back with a little hunk of horror. You'll be sure to listen, won't you? Until next week, then. Good night. Pleasant dreams.
I love this story. Man kills a guy, only to get away with it, kinda, then has to commit a second murder and gets away with it, only to find himself right back where he started, facing the original murder. That is some incredible script writing. And the actors. I was very impressed, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Boris Karloff originally narrated during the first season and starred in more than 15 episodes. He would return sporadically thereafter. They tried to use unknown talent to do the plays. This, at times, made the shows seem campy rather than serious horror. Listeners snapped it up, and to this day, Inner Sanctum has an occult-like following. How about that? As Read By. This time on As Read By, we have a story told to me by Mary Campbell from Mission City, California. I tried to find it on the map, and the best I could say is that it must be a suburb of San Diego. Mary says the story that I'm about to read has scarred me for life, and I've looked for explanation for what occurred. They all remain unsatisfactory. Mary opted to have me write her story for her, and I hope I captured it. Here is Mary's story. When I was a child, I was scared of the dark. I swore to my mother that I heard voices in it. They were not evil, but they were not familiar, and so they scared me. It was not uncommon in the middle of the night for me to wake up and hear whispers. My mom figured they were just bumps in the night and typical kids' nightmare material. I tried often to explain to her that it was more than that they sounded different from one another the way people's voices do. On some nights, I would get so scared from these whispers, I would sleep in my mom's bed with her. It was an added bonus that the bathroom was directly outside her bedroom door for any late-night trips. I should add at this point that when walking out into the hall to go to the bathroom, you look directly down the stairs that would lead you into our living room on the first floor. One night, around Halloween, I awoke to go to the restroom. I walked out from the door and distinctly heard the phrase, "Look." And to my astonishment, a red light, almost like a spotlight, was cast on the floor at the very bottom of the stairs. The light had no other source. It was by itself, and I was transfixed by it. Being a little kid, and it being only a few days from Halloween, I knew what the light was. It was the Great Pumpkin. I had just watched the Charlie Brown special the night before, and I was so excited I began walking down the stairs to greet him. After the third step, the light began to fade into the darkness of my living room. That's when I heard him. A very strong, masculine voice, different from the first, and not at all like my dad. It said, "Stop right now. Go back up those stairs." I listened and turned around. I heard a very large crash that sent me running back up the stairs into my mother's bed, where I jumped straight under the covers and stayed the rest of the night. When we awoke the next morning, the spider lights my mother had placed on the railing down the stairs were in a pile on the bottom. Some were broken from what must have been a really strong pull. The dry sink in the living room had fallen from the wall. My mother couldn't explain it. My father was worried that we had been victims of a home invasion. My little sister, well, she was crying. Nothing was missing. The doors were all sealed, and there seemed to be no explanation for what had happened. Then I saw it, and I kept quiet about it. I was so afraid that I could not force the words out of my mouth. On the wooden edge of the dry sink were 3 indentations where something had gripped it very tightly, a forceful grip. Something down there had grabbed it and thrown it down. I was terrified. I don't like to think about what was waiting for me downstairs that night, if anything at all, but I can tell you the reality was that something had physically acted upon those lights and the dry sink. After that event, I never heard another whisper again, which is sad because in some ways I would have liked to thank the man that had stopped me from going down those stairs. This all happened when I was 7 years old. I'm 20 now, and because of this incident, I am still afraid of the dark, especially shadowy stairwells. Mary from Mission City. Mary, that is an incredible story. One of the best we've ever had on Ron's Amazing Stories. I want to thank you for sharing it with us. I could tell as you told it to me, it was very difficult for you. I hope I did it some justice. For you, the listeners, if you want to hear your story read or read it yourself, all you have to do is head to ronsamazingstories.com. Click on the Contact tab and tell it to me. You can also leave your contact information, and I will call or contact you. It's that simple. We can record right then, or you can do like Mary wanted and dictate it for me to read. No matter how you do it, please just do it. Okay?
is astride this night for to ride. The devil and she together, through thick and through thin, now out and then in. Yes, so foul be the weather. A thorn or a burr she takes for a spur, with a lash of a bramble she rides now. Through brakes and through briars, or ditches and mires, she follows the spirit that guides now. No beast for his food dares now range the wood, but hushed in his lair he lies lurking, while mischiefs by ease, on land and on seas, noon of night are working. The storm will arise and trouble the skies this night, and more for the wonder. The ghost from the tomb affrighted shall come, called out by the clap of the thunder.
In 1648. It was read by, well, we'll just keep that a secret, and the music and sound effects were done by yours truly. Herrick was born in Cheapside, London in 1591, and yeah, that is a real place. He became a member of the Sons of Ben, which is a group centered upon the admiration of the works of Ben Jonson. Herrick wrote at least 5 poems to Jonson. He took holy orders in 1623, and then in 1629 he became the vicar of Dean Prior in Devonshire. It's hard to imagine a proper cleric writing of witches and ghosts, but he did. Okay then, that's it for this podcast. Come back next week and we'll start up week 3 of the month of Spooky 2017, where we will feature one of the best ghost storytelling people I know, Ms. Sylvia Schultz. So come back, y'all, and hear all about it. If you want to keep up with what's happening on Ron's Amazing Stories, please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or sign up for the weekly newsletter. All the links you're going to need and access to the blog can be found at ronsamazingstories.com. Thank you for listening, and I hope you come again to find out what are Ron's Amazing Stories.
All of the vintage audio used in the podcast is believed to be in the public domain. Ron's Amazing Stories does not own the rights to any of the old-time radio used here. If you hold the rights to any of the shows played, please contact us immediately at ronsamazingstories.com.